and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ansa and I'm going to talk about soap calculators today. Now, this specific soap calculator that I use is soapmakingfriend.com. There are many other good calculators out there. This is just my personal choice, but if you know how to use this one, you can use any of the others as well, so it's not going to be a problem. Now, the other two things that I do like about this calculator is that it does have a inventory tab as well, so you can add all of your ingredients in there and keep your inventory like that. And then the other lovely thing is it's got a batch tab as well, and if you use the batch tab, you can just choose a specific recipe that you formulated on this calculator, and it will distract the ingredients from your inventory, and it will also calculate for you the cost of your batch of soap. And I think, if I remember correctly, you can even go for a bar of soap as well. So it's easy to do your costing with this. So I'm going to show those two options in a different video, just to keep this one as short as possible. So let's jump right into it and let me show you how to use a soap calculator to make your life easy. The soap making calculator, or the Lye calculator that I'm using, is soapmakingfriend.com. You're just going to type in your search bar soapmakingfriend.com and this screen will come up. Now, to be able to use the soap calculator, you need to register on the right hand side. You will need to type in your first name, last name, username, email address, and then choose a password and reconfirm your password. Now, trust me, even though this is a free calculator, they've never sent me email before. They're not going to spam you. I think the only reason that you do have an email address, that if you forget your password, that you will be able to regain access to your profile here. You're just going to click on register, and when you're registered, next time that you log in here, you're going to say login. Username, you're going to type in your password, and you're just going to say login there. So login successful. So then my name is here on the right hand side here. Now, to use the soap making, the calculator, we're going to work quickly through here. You're going to choose a recipe name, so you got your first part that you're going to add your name in there, and then you must choose if your recipe is public or no. So if this is a long secret recipe, like Kentucky Fried Chicken, 11 herbs and spices family thing, you're going to click no, and then nobody else can see your recipe. If you click yes, anybody can see your recipe there. I'm just going to quickly go through this. We're going to look at the liquid, if it's a liquid or a solid soap recipe, the recipe units of measure, the amount of liquid in your recipe. We're going to look at super fat, the different oils, fats and waxes that you can choose from here. Then the custom additives that you can put in here, activated charcoal from buttermilk, anything in between. We're going to look at the fragrances and the percentages there. And then here at the bottom, you can add notes on your recipe as well. You will see here on the right hand side, here is an empty space here. The moment when you start to fill in your recipe, all your information will show you on the right hand side. It says fill up the form first to see the results. So your results will come in here on the right hand side. Okay, first you must decide if you're going to make a solid soap or a liquid soap or a hybrid soap. Now, solid soap, we're going to use sodium hydroxide. If you were to make liquid soap, it's going to be potassium hydroxide. Hybrid soaps are usually for shaving soap and stuff like that. So it's a soft type of soap, so it's not really liquid and it's not really solid in between. So for that, you're just going to click liquid soap. Usually the purity is 90% where I live here, but on your container should be an indication on how pure your potassium hydroxide could be. Or if you click on hybrid soap, you can decide the percentage of sodium hydroxide and the percentage of potassium hydroxide you want to use. Now, normally for shaving soap, you're going to use about, I think, around about 80% here and 20% here, depending on your oils that you choose. For this demonstration, we're going to go for solid soap. I'm not going to go into the master batching at this moment, because master batching is for a little bit more advanced. It's not really a beginner thing. So we're just going to skip the master batch for now. But if you are at the stage that you want to use master batching, there's an option that you can use there. The recipe units of measure, depending if you are imperial or metric, you can choose either one of them. Percentages is what I usually work in. So I do a formulation on how the percentage of each oil I want to use in my recipe, and then I must tell it how much total oils are in my recipe. But if you don't know the size of your mold or the volume of your mold, you can tell it to recalculate there. Resize the recipe to fit your mold size. So what you can do here is you just type in your dimensions. If your units are centimeters, you leave it there, or you can choose inches there. Centimeters, the shape, rectangular or cylindrical, then you can add your size here. Now I've got a mold that is 10 centimeters by 15 centimeters. And the height is about 7.25. So I usually pour up until about 7 centimeters high. Now this calculator will recalculate everything, or not recalculate, it will calculate it for my specific recipe here. If you know the total volume, for example, if I want to use a milk carton that's got 1000 milliliter volume, I can choose by total size. It's already 1000 for it's a 1 liter. So then it will calculate all my oils to fill a 1 liter size milk carton here. So let's just leave it on 1000 grams. Next, you need to decide is how much liquid to use in your recipe. Now normally a 2:1 is a good ratio for beginner soap makers. You can decide if you want to use the liquid to lye ratio or the lye concentration. I have not encountered anybody that used the liquid as a percentage oil before. So there is an option for that. I've never used it. Depending on these two, you will see if you change one, the other one changes accordingly as well. So the least amount of liquid that you can use regarding to your lye is the same amount. So if you've got 100 grams of lye in your recipe, you will need at least 100 grams of liquid there as well. So then it will be a 1:1 ratio here. You see 1:1, 50% is going to be lye and 50% is going to be liquid here. For this, we're going to stay with a 2:1. 2:1 is double the amount of, if you take your lye amount, it's double the amount in liquid there as well. So for example, if you want to use milk, you can do 100 grams of, if the lye were 100 grams of lye that you need to use, you can use 100 grams of milk and 100 grams of water if you like to. So this is where you play around with your liquid amount here. Then the superfat for cold process, you're going to leave it here. It's the percentage of superfat. What this soap calculator is going to do, it's going to take the amount of oil that you need in your recipe, and it's going to distract the amount of lye so that 5% of your oil stays unsaponified. So 5% of your oils will not become soapier. You can increase it or can decrease it. 5% is a good place to start. When we add a recipe here, I will show you how to decide what the percentage here will be. So we will come back to this. Then your oils, fats and waxes. Now all of your oils are here under this tab here. So you can scroll up and down, it's alphabetical. And then you've got a plus, how you're going to add your oils, and then there's the information tab here. So if you just hover over it, it will give you all the information for that specific oil. So that is your sub values, your iodine, your INS number, the different fatty acids that there is, and the different properties at the bottom like bubbly and cleansing and conditioning. You can also click on the eye and it will open all the information underneath it. If you click again on the eye, it will close it there. If you want to add an oil, you're going to click on the plus. So for interest, okay, yeah, let's add stuff in here so that you can see how it's going to work. So for a beginner recipe, let's just say new recipe. We're going to add a name here, a beginner recipe. Okay, come on, let's make it beginner. Just saponify. I'm going to show you later on why for that. Okay, I'm going to show you in the database how to search for saponify, because all my videos got recipes on here that is available to the public. Mine is yes, it's public, so you can get to it. So chose my name. I already decided it's going to be a solid recipe. The percentages, I'm going to use a mold container here with 1000 grams in it. I'm going to use a 2:1 liquid to rye ratio. Superfat, we will see how that's going to work out. So now I must choose oils for my recipe. So let's go for coconut oil, because coconut oil, yeah, we're going to go here. Coconut oil here, if you hover over the eye, it's going to show you that the bubbly is 67. It's got a very high bubbly and a very high cleansing, but the conditioning is very low and the longevity is very low. So this is the properties that coconut oil is going to bring to your soap. So let's add coconut oil because we want it bubbly, but we also want it to be moisturizing. So let's go for olive oil because it's easy to obtain in most places. Olive oil, if you hover over this one, olive oil shows you that there is basically, okay, zero bubbly is not 100% true. So this is something to keep in mind. A soap calculator with the information in it is more like guidelines, it's not fast rules. So the guidelines give you an indication of what it would be like, but it's also not always 100% accurate, because 100% olive oil soap does make bubbles, it does clean, but yeah, the cleansing and the bubbling on this one is very low, but the conditioning is very high. The longevity is also not very high, but let's use this to condition. And then to increase your, let's add palm oil. Palm oil's got a very long, it's 49% for longevity. So let's add the palm oil here. So now I must decide on the percentages here, because we said we're going to use percentages here. So for coconut oil, let's go for 25%. Then for olive oil, 35, and palm oil, you see total here we are on 60 here. The moment that we reach 100% here, it will give the information here on the right hand side. So palm oil, there's still 40% left. So let's give it a try here. Okay, so now all your information appeared here on the right hand side. So if you go back up, you will see how much grams of each oil you're going to need. For 40% palm oil, it's going to be 274.48. I don't usually bother too much with the commas. For oil, I usually round up, and when we get to the lye, for example 97.74, I would just use 97 grams because my scale cannot work in the commas. So if I leave the 0.74 gram out, it's just going to increase the superfat minuscule, very, very small amount. So for oils, the commas, I'm just going to, this one I round up, and for the lye I round down. So these are the amounts that you need for every oil here. This is your recipe totals that tells you how much liquid you need, what is the amount of lye that you're going to need to weigh out. It's going to tell you fragrance oil, we will still get to that. Superfat is going to be 5%, so it will just calculate everything in there for you. Now the three oils together, the bubbly is going to be 17, cleansing 17, so everything is between the recommended amounts. You can see that at the bottom in the graph as well. When it's green, it means all of your values are between the recommended values. But remember, recommended, not set in stone. Usually they say for cleansing you should go for 14 or a little bit lower, otherwise it's going to dry your skin. But you can counteract a high cleansing number. For interesting, if you go for coconut oil is 67, the cleansing is 67 if you make 100% coconut oil soap here. So if you've got 67 in your cleansing here, what I usually do, I take the cleansing number and I divide it by 3, and I use that number as my percentage for superfat. So should this have been 100% coconut oil and the cleansing value is 67, then I'm going to take 67, divide by 3, and that's going to give me around about 22. So I'm going to change then the superfat to 22%. So it will reduce this sodium hydroxide that you need quite a lot, so that 22% of my oils will be oil and not soap. But for this one, on 17%, if you divide 17, you're going to get close to 5%. So 5% is still good here. You don't need to really bother with it there. So all your values are here on the right hand side. Then it's going to show you all the fatty acids here. Now for interest, your linoleic and your linolenic, the two of them together should be less than 15, because if you increase it and it's more than 15, then your chances for DOS are quite high. Something else that very few soap makers actually keep an eye on, your iodine. If your iodine goes over 70%, it usually also is these two here that is very high, and then you've got chances for DOS as well. Your INS number. This is something people don't use. What I use it for is I keep an eye on it if I want to make swirls in my soap. If the INS number is 136 or lower, then I know I've got plenty of time. It's going to take a long time to trace. If the INS number is quite high, I know that this is going to saponify quite fast. Now, where this number comes from, apparently, I'm not 100% sure if I'm correct, but as I understand it, they developed this number the moment when they started to commercialize soap making. And they needed to know how fast a specific oil is going to saponify so that they can get it out of the mold and start the next batch of soap. So the higher this number, the faster it saponifies, the faster it sets up, the faster you can get it out of the mold. But for swirls, a high number is not a good thing, and for if you need swirls, you want a lower number here. So something just to keep an eye on. Now next on here on the left hand side, you can add your additives. Now these are not really going to influence your recipe so much, but you can add it. Activated charcoal, on the information, it gives you an indication. Remember again, it's not a fast rule. It gives you an indication on how much and when you can add it. Here that tells you 1 tablespoon per pound of oil. Depends on how dark you want your soap. What the purpose of it is, natural colorant, grey to black, and how to add it to your soap. Add it to the oils before mixing in lye solution. So you can add it to your oils beforehand, but as I said, it is just an indication. It's not hard rules, because you can add activated charcoal after trace as well. So you can just, for future references on your recipe, add it there. You can decide if it's a teaspoon or it's a tablespoon, or if you want to work with weight. So this is just gonna keep the information for your everything together, so that the next time you make another batch, then you've got everything together here. Fragrances here. Make sure from your supplier what is the safe amount or the skin safe amount of fragrance oil that you can use in your recipe. If it tells you that you can use 5%, you can just change it to 5%. Normally it's around about 3%, but just double check it to make sure everything is correct there. When you get to essential oils, you will need to check every single essential oil as well. Remember, essential oils are concentrated plant extracts with medicinal values. So essential oils are sometimes more tricky to work with on the safe side than with your fragrance oils there as well. But yeah, you're just going to add it here. If it's 3%, you can go back to the top here, and then you will see here fragrance oil weight. It calculated it for you. 3% is going to be 20.59 grams. So if you change it at the left hand side, it's going to change it up there as well. Now recipe fragrances, usually the notes here, or if it's a top, a middle, or a base note. I don't know enough about perfumery to tell you what is, but you can, for example, say fragrance is got a woody fragrance, and it was maybe a middle note. This is not going to influence your recipe at all. You can add all the different fragrances that you add in here. You can add rose as many as you like. This is for people that are just really into perfumery and really want to remember what they used and how they're going to use it in the next batch. So this will save all that information for you. I'm not going to use it there because I'm not, as I said, not much into perfumery here. Most of my soap I prefer unscented as well. Here you can add more notes here. You can add links to other stuff. So there is a little area that you can add things to just for your own personal information here. You can even add a picture. If you already made the soap, you can add a picture here of it, and then it will save that as well. Now here on the right hand side, underneath all of your graphs, you will find the little save button. It's a little bit weird because you would have thought it's going to be on the top. So you're just going to click save. It's going to save it. Now it's saved. Something I would like to advise you to do. This is a free soap making calculator. So if the servers crash, all your information is going to be gone. If whoever is running this, bless their hearts, because I think they're angels, giving this for us for free. If they maybe can't continue with the service and they're going to take and they take it off the internet, then all your recipes are gone. So take responsibility for your own recipe. You're going to go to the right hand side here for print. You're going to click on the print. It's going to open for you a preview here, and on the destination here you're going to click on it and you're going to choose save as a PDF, and then you're going to say save, and you can choose for on the desktop a beginner recipe, and you're going to say save, and then your recipe is going to be on your desktop or wherever you save it, and then it's on your computer. It's not just on the server alone. So this is for me an important thing, especially if you love your recipes. Take responsibility and just keep them safe by yourself. And that is it. That is the whole thing around your recipes, or how the soap making or Lye calculators work. It's not really difficult. If you understand where everything fits in, then it's easier to use. Now I want to show you something else here. Underneath the recipes, you've got a recipe database. So if you want to go back to your recipes, you're going to click on My Recipes, or you can go to the recipe database, click on it, and then it's going to open for you all the new recipes. I just made this. This one was created 1 minute ago, and this was public. That is why mine is here. Here a guest created a recipe 3 hours ago, so the guest recipe is in there. So if you need to find any of my recipes on Soapmakingfriend's YouTube channel, all that you need to do is go to the Soapmakingfriend, type in Soapmakingfriend, then you're going to go to the bottom and you're going to say search the recipes. So then Soapmakingfriend is going to search for anything with the word Soapmakingfriend in it. And you can see the author is Ansa. So if there's a different author that also got Soapmakingfriend up there, then you might be able to know there's somebody else's. But here's the beginner recipe. There's my wood soap for the wood soap video that I've got on my channel. The kombucha one on my channel, the leaf imprint soap. And you can go to the next pages and you can find all of my recipes that is available to the public here. If you want to use it, you're just going to click on the name, Beginner Soapmakingfriend. It's going to open it up. The screen is going to look a little bit different, but it's not a big issue. So everything is there. Now, because it's mine, I can edit it. For you, you will have to click on the copy. And when you click on the copy, it's going to open it for you. Then it's going to look like the original one again. So, and then you can change things up and down here. So if you want to make something a little bit more bubbly, also you can change here coconut oil. You can decrease it a little bit, then you need to increase something else to get it back to 100%. So you can choose and change all your properties here. Something else I just want to point out, Soapmakingfriend got batches and inventory. The inventory, you can add all your supplies and all your suppliers and your purchases in here. And then you can use the batches, use one of your recipes and make a batch, and it will calculate the costing of your recipe, and it's going to take it from your inventory and show you how much you've got left. These two, I will do a separate video for that, and then you can know how to use that as well. So I hope this helped you a lot. Happy soaping until I see you guys next time.